everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Gabrielle. I also go by the Mystic Hottie. I like talking about spirituality, life, healing, and embodied pleasure. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, I would greatly appreciate a like, comment, a subscribe. So today, as you can tell by the title, we are going to talk about soft kink. It could also be called soft or gentle BDSM. We're going to get into some of the myths and some of the topics I find interesting around it. So let's get started. Before we get started, I did want to add that I am currently on the journey of becoming a somatic sex educator, and I absolutely love making videos talking about sex, talking about masturbation, embodied pleasure, and kind of just giving some of the resources and the knowledge that I've learned to everybody on here. So if you like these type of videos, please let me know, or just leave me a like or comment, anything like that. I think when a lot of people hear the word kink, they kind of automatically think of a dungeon, whips, and chains, and ain't nothing wrong with that at all. But BDSM actually falls under a whole umbrella and spectrum. So today we're going to talk about soft kink, and I think they're just really practices that focus on communication, trust, anticipation, and kind of a slow build, slow burn, and connection. What is soft kink? The term is sometimes used differently, but basically they're practices that focus more on low intensity, gentle exploration. It really puts an emphasis on communication, on trust, on sensory play, rather than just a lot of intensity all at once. Some examples are gentle control, playful power exchanges, light restraint, light bondage, mutual touch, or guiding touch. So instead of typical domination, think more gentle and more slow. Role playing can be a really playful way to explore this kink. You can have a certain persona or a certain scenario that you'd like to act out with your partner, or even with yourself, kind of fantasizing about it. If you're not fully comfortable yet, or you just kind of want to dip your toes into soft kink, that can be a really fun way to explore it. Anticipation and teasing can be really fun, and I think it just adds a playful little flair to it. So you can do things like denial or like edging that can really help build the tension, and it really puts an emphasis on the experience rather than a set thing having to happen. Instead of typical impact play or typical BDSM punishment, gentle kink focuses more on nurturing, on sensuality, and reward. So for me, I've kind of always been interested in kink and in BDSM. So when I was first having sex, I had like a lot of trouble speaking up for myself, knowing what I wanted, vocalizing what I wanted, vocalizing boundaries, and obviously communication is a big part of any sexual interaction. So it did lead to some like uncomfortable experiences, and I ended up taking about 3 years just being celibate, and I made a video about it, and I'll link it above or below so y'all can watch it, kind of just my journey with celibacy and kind of what led me there. And I'll probably make an updated video just so y'all can kind of know where I'm at and whatnot. But yeah, I took about 3 years off and I was celibate. And then when I decided to be intimate again, I had found out about this thing called gentle femdom. And it was like, it was just like, it just made so much sense to me, and something just clicked, like I felt like I had found my thing. And it just allowed me to feel so much more confident, so much more like safe and empowered, because I felt in control of the experiences that I was having, and I was able to communicate and vocalize what I wanted. Let's talk about some of the themes and why people are interested in soft kink. So first is trust. It can be a really amazing way to build trust with your partner, just being able to openly discuss what you want done, what you'd want done in a specific scenario, the different things that you're into, the different boundaries that you have, and it could just be a really amazing way to build intimacy as well. And then it not only builds trust with your partner, but I think it also builds trust with yourself, because you're more aware of, okay, I really like this thing, or I really don't like this thing. So you're kind of trusting yourself more to be able to know your limits. And if you watch any of my videos, you know I love yapping about slowing down. Slowing down is just really amazing because it helps get you into the present moment. It helps you feel into your senses more and just have more enjoyable experiences. 3 is communication. Like I said earlier, I had such a hard time communicating my boundaries and what I wanted done during a certain interaction. But when I found out about Gentle Femdom, that really helps me with my communication because I was in control of the scenarios and I was the one saying like, okay, I want this done. And it just helps me communicate a little bit more unapologetically, which was really nice. But of course, communication is kind of just the foreground and the basis of any sexual interaction. You want to be able to communicate like how you want it to go, what your limits are and your boundaries. But let's talk about some of the myths that surround kink and BDSM. So there's a myth that it always has to be rough and intense. And like we've talked about in this video, there's definitely space for more soft and gentle experiences. So for example, there's different types of DOMs. Like I was talking about earlier, there's a gentle femdom who will take control of the situation and the environment in a more gentle way. Instead of demanding what they want done to them, they'll simply ask for it or they'll state it. They'll make sure that their subs are taken care of, receive nurturing, receive a reward if they feel like it. But the whole interaction is more mutually beneficial. There's also service tops, and I think this definitely falls under the umbrella of soft kink, but think a giver. So they get pleasure from their partners getting pleasure and their partners feeling good. Consent is absolutely foundational for any type of sexual interaction, but because kink involves psychological and physical components, risk, and play, you never want to leave anything up for interpretation. So you always want to make sure that you communicate with your partner and that y'all have a mutual agreement and mutual consent. Trust me, you do not want to be in the middle of an interaction and feel uncomfortable because you didn't communicate your boundaries, or being in the middle of an interaction and kind of just being like, oh, I didn't like that. Like, how do I say I didn't like it? Or how do I say I want this thing? So you just want to try to communicate beforehand what it is that you're looking for and what it is you want to get out of that interaction. And then also just being respectful of people's boundaries and of people's interests. Kink has this saying that I really like, is not to yuck someone's yum. And basically it just means you're not going to be like, or like gross to someone's interests, because we all have different types of interests. I definitely get it could be kind of awkward or intimidating to talk about consent and about boundaries, but something that really changed the game for me is thinking about it in a fun, flirty foreplay way, right? So instead of it being kind of more restricted and like, let's talk about the boundaries, you just want to add some like flirtatiousness to it. So you could say something like, I want to talk about what I want to do to you tonight, or let's talk about what I want you to do to me tonight. You know, just adding some like flirtatiousness to it. Afterplay or aftercare is just a way to help soothe and regulate after a really vulnerable interaction with your partner. So you can do things like cuddle, drink water. That one's not up for debate. You can share a snack, food. You can talk about the interaction, but it's just a way to help reconnect to yourself and to your partner after having like a vulnerable interaction. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave me a like, a comment, and even consider subscribing. And I will see you guys next time.